from fun, we'll turn back to election night results. We'll go to Nancy Keenan. She's joining us here in Washington. She's the head of NARAL. Some good news for you guys last night out of Mississippi, right?
Absolutely, Zach. It was a great victory for women and their families in Mississippi. And, it was a values discussion down there, and whether or not they wanted politicians to be involved in this most private, personal medical decision. And they soundedly rejected that constitutional amendment. So good news, and kudos to the folks in Mississippi who worked hard.
So, Nancy Keenan, the other issue, though, coming up certainly at the presidential level is this issue of defunding Planned Parenthood. I know you're with NARAL, but obviously the issue still resonates. Despite the win here on the ballot initiative, how much success have groups like yours had in promoting your cause? Or is it that when the ballot initiative goes what many voters say too far, it loses, but snipping around at the edges maybe can still be a success?
Well, listen, I think, again, that the voters were the ones that determined that that ballot initiative in Mississippi was way too extreme, including the attacks that we've seen on family planning and Planned Parenthood specifically at the congressional level. And again, I think, Amy, it goes down to the values, and people are saying who should be in this debate, and do we want a politician, an elected official making this decision, or do we want families and women and their doctors making these very personal, private decisions, especially on something like contraception, for heaven's sake. 97% of women access contraception in this country. So again, the voters spoke. They're very clear. Majority of Americans are pro-choice. And the values are that we want our freedom, our privacy, and politicians don't belong in this debate.
Now, you guys have a new survey out today with a polling firm, and you suggest that maybe President Obama should make this a bigger issue than Democrats have been. That this should be one of the main issues going into 2012.
Exactly. Zach, we just finished up a survey that is taking a look at what we call Obama defectors. These are women that voted for President Obama in 2008. They are not likely to vote for him in 12. They may vote for someone else, or they could not show up at all. And so choice for this group and this block of women is very, very central to how they see their participation in 2012. Again, it is a value statement for these women voters, and they will be there for President Obama. It's our job to make sure they understand the importance of this issue, and having a pro-choice president makes a difference. The contrast here, we've got 12 months now to make the contrast to say, let's say against a Mitt Romney, who actually supported that constitutional amendment, to make the contrast that says there are certain things that belong with a family and a woman and her doctor. And the issue of choice, fundamentally, access to legal abortion in this country does not belong in Congress or anywhere else. And so we will be drawing that contrast between a pro-choice president in Barack Obama and an anti-choice nominee in the case of Mitt Romney and the other cadre of nominees on that side. Any one of them are equally as bad. But women will vote. They could be in an election like this, the margins in those battleground states. And this issue is critical to women across this country, and their voices are going to be heard in 2012.
Though I want to ask you this, when we see in our polling that close to 60% of Americans say the economy is the #1 issue here, can an issue like abortion really cut through even for some of these women voters that you mentioned?
Absolutely. And again, Amy, you know as well as any of us that elections, especially in battleground states, are about the margins. So the economy will be front and center. It should be, absolutely, people not having jobs. But they also are defining the contrast. What other issues are going to affect someone's voting of an issue like choice? And we believe strongly that for these women who will make the difference in 2012, we believe the issue of choice will move them to vote for President Barack Obama and re-elect him. And so, not dismissing the economy at all, but the fact is there are other issues that are going to define the election as we move through these next 12 months.
Okay, back to what Amy said earlier. If you put it in a stark question, people, even in the conservative state of Mississippi, rejected the personhood amendment. But, looking at some of the coverage of what was going on in that state, there's not a lot of access to abortion services in a place like Mississippi, a lot of places in the middle of the country where there's less and less access. Are Democrats currently and the federal government doing enough right now to maintain access to abortion services for people who want to make that choice?
Mm-hmm. You know that's a really good point, Zach, and I think that access does present a problem in many parts of our country, and something that we work on every day, making sure that women have access to that care, to abortion care. I think in places that we have to look, like in South Dakota, this same kind of amendment was defeated twice, in 06 and 08. And again, because it becomes a values discussion in those neighborhoods across the fence, and is it there in the grocery store. And we saw it defeated in South Dakota, Colorado, now Mississippi. These are, Colorado and South Dakota are not the brightest blue states, for heaven's sakes. They're very red. And it speaks to people understanding how extreme, voters understanding how extreme this agenda is, and how we have to draw the contrast, again, whether it's at the presidential level or in these states, draw the contrast of how extreme this agenda is and how Americans continue to reject it.
All right. Well, Nancy Keenan, thank you again for joining us. I'm sure we will talk to you again throughout this campaign.